tell them slow down. I can't keep up, love. Your heart is shrinking faster. Baby, there's no laughter coming out of your mouth, out of your soul, out of your soul.
My name's Garrett, and this is my 1968 Dodge Dart. The car is a 318 car, so a 5.2 liter. It came with a cast iron intake manifold and a single barrel carb. So I wanted some more torque, so I put a dual plane aluminum intake manifold on it, and then a 4-barrel carb just for easier tuning and a little more power.
All right, you guys, what is going on? Welcome back to Roads Untraveled. Today we are in the oldest car I have ever personally driven. Pretty sure this is the oldest car I've ever driven. It is a 1968 Dodge Dart. It has a 5.2 liter 4-barrel carbureted V8 under the hood with a 4-speed manual transmission swap. Oh yeah, there we go. We got some torque. Sweet. Okay. Shifter feels pretty good. It's gonna take me a second, honestly, to get it in and out of gear properly. It's a little bit of a guessing game, at least for me. I've never driven this car before, right? So, what do we got here? We have a temp gauge that doesn't work, a fuel gauge that does not work. So hopefully we don't run out of gas. I don't know. But we have the essentials. Garrett's gone ahead and put water temp gauge, oil pressure gauge, volts, and a tach with a red line. That's basically all you need, right? If you have gas, you have gas. If you don't, you push it to the nearest gas station, you get a jerry can, and you're good to go. But here we are, driving a 68 Dart on a beautiful, beautiful spring day here in beautiful British Columbia. And the steering is like, I mean, here's the thing. If you haven't driven an old school muscle car like this, or 60s or 70s era muscle car, you think to yourself, wow, they just must be so sturdy and like really well built. It doesn't always go that way. They're not predictable at all. They don't feel safe. Well, not really. I mean, this kind of feels safe because you're not going very fast, but they're not what you would call like pristine and precise and like refined. They are the opposite. Like, this car is the opposite of the word refinement, right? Like, the steering is all over the place. It's got a whack ton of body roll, but that's all the charm in driving a car like this. You have to actually like learn how to drive a car like this. The seat's really nice though. Not what I would call the most comfortable bucket seat, but it's great. I mean, it's definitely a lot better than a bench seat in terms of like going around the corners and stuff. Just like any old kind of carbureted V8 like this, they don't rev very high. And once you start feeling, like once it starts getting valve float and you start feeling the torque kind of taper off, then you just shift. And the beauty is it's a 5.2 liter V8 with like boatloads of like more torque than horsepower. And you get torque at like, you know, below 2,000 RPM. So it's constantly in the power band. So we got a side pipe coming out the driver's side here. It's dumping like right beside me. So it's all about the driving pleasure. It really is. I could drive a car like this, you guys, all day long. I really could. Like, it's so freeing and relaxing to drive a car like this because you are guaranteed, unlike a brand new car, you're guaranteed to know the government's not watching you. There's nobody tracking your GPS with this car.
16, I bought it from a family friend, and I probably spent, well, I've just owned the car. I just turned 18, and it's probably been close to 2 years of owning it. And the car did run, but it didn't run how I wanted it to, so I had to do a whole bunch of stuff and make it safer. So the automatic was absolute garbage, and I blew out third gear on it and it was dying. So having a 4-speed would be so much more fun, I thought to myself. So I put that in at school with some help from my auto teacher. I managed to do it in about a month, which is okay, I guess. It's a bit slow, but I had to buy all the parts from the guy I bought the car from. He's helped me out a lot too, so that's huge help. Yeah, I had to cut a hole in the floor because the automatic floor pan and the standard floor pans are different. And then I had to put a different pedal box in. And I had to do a Z-bar and bell crank for the clutch linkage and stuff like that. I bought a scatter shield instead of just an aluminum bell housing, because when the clutches on these cars explode, if they explode, it takes your feet off. It's not fun. I've seen pictures online of people like holes through doors. It's bad. So, I mean, and the transmission's strong enough to hold all the power I'd ever need in this car. So,
just roars to life. And you know, this thing only weighs 2,800 pounds. 2,800 pounds. That's how much my MR2 weighs. And this has almost as much power as my MR2. Oh God. Thank you so much, Garrett, for bringing out this car. I love it. I love it so much. Built in a high school auto shop, you know. Garrett said he spent more time actually building this car so far and fixing it and making it safe than driving it. But this summer, and finally now, he's actually gotten a chance to finally get behind the wheel and start driving it as a daily driver, which is, I mean, honestly, is the dream, to get like a project muscle car like this, learn a bunch when you build it up, and then eventually get to the point where you can drive it on a day-to-day basis and finally enjoy it. And his friends have put all their signatures on the floorboard here, on the bottom of the car. There's no passenger seat, so I guess once he puts the seat in, it'll be kind of like a hidden thing you can kind of uncover a little later and see, you know, oh wow, these are all my high school friends and they signed my car, and you know, they'll probably remember this car too. You know, Garrett was the guy with the dart. I mean, that's how I remember people, to be honest. It's by their cars. Go down here and you get a bunch of looks. People love muscle cars. I'm convinced the 60s and 70s era muscle cars are the only class of vehicle that everyone loves. Everyone loves a car like this. I've never met a person who doesn't think a car like this is like really cool and badass. It's just about as fast as I would want this car to go. Really fun. You get a little bit of crackles back there. Garrett's got a glass pack muffler in here, so you old school guys will know the glass packs are obviously filled with glass, fiberglass, and they break apart over time, so that you know, when you initially install a glass pack muffler, they're not much. Like it'll make it a little bit louder, but the point is for the insides of the muffler to kind of open up a little bit over time, and the exhaust note will change within the first few months that you have your glass pack on. So now you get a little bit of crackles back there. It's very loud. Not too loud though. It's exactly as loud as you would want.
I don't think it's a dying breed. I think it's more of like I'm keeping the generation going, and I've noticed like a lot of people, they always come up to me, it's a lot of old guys and a lot of people like that, they always come up to me and like, oh, I had one of those in high school. It's like, yeah, well, I'm trying to keep them alive and keep them running on the road. So I highly recommend getting an old car. They're easy to work on, they're fun to learn on, they're fun to drive, and they're pretty quick for not too expensive of a car. And then I put in a aftermarket seat, because the bench seat that was in it before, I was sliding around in the passenger seat when I'd go around a turn. I'd slide into the other side of the car, and I wasn't I was kind of struggling to stay in the seat more than driving the car. So, so far it's my daily, but I'm hoping to go to Mission, the drag strip, pretty quick. Maybe in the summertime when I got more time, and hopefully I don't break anything there.
Are you like a diehard Mopar guy? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like all the old cars because you can't find them on the roads anymore, but Mopar has kind of been like I just like the body styles and how they built the cars, and to me, they're easy to work on, like compared to like a Chevy or a Ford. And like parts, yeah, it's expensive. They're like, if you were to get like a Charger versus like a Camaro or something, they're like double the price to build than a Chevy or a Ford. No, there's no fuel efficiency. It's not good at all. I don't like like I said, the interior gauges don't work, so like I have to fill up every like 3 days. And it's like $100 every 3 days or 4 days. It's bad, but I don't really care because I'm always smiling when I'm driving it and having a lot of fun. So.
See, they love it. They love it. You're constantly paying attention because it is like such a departure from a modern car driving experience. You're constantly just like engaged in the experience of just being in the cabin here and like looking at the tack and feeling the steering and compensating all the time for little imperfections in the road, and like it's a complete experience, you know? People love it, man. Even the motorcycle riders are like, heck yeah, dude. So much street cred. You know what? Instead of going over there, I'm going to drive through Fort Langley. People who live out here they don't want to be downtown Vancouver, you know? They're not interested in the shenanigans of the city, the unnecessary headaches that come with living in a densely populated city. This car is way better suited for out here where you can just, you can look around. The visibility, as I like showcase the view for you guys, the visibility is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. So the Dodge Dart was originally classified as a full-size vehicle in the first couple years, and then in 62 it was a mid-size, and then in 63 to 68, I believe, it was a compact car from then on, or 63 I think, it was a compact car from then on. Correct me please if I'm wrong in the comments, but it basically went down in size, or got classified down in size as the years went on, and I think this is the best like looking generation, or best looking body style for the Dodge Dart, I feel like, you know? I am actually so jealous of your car. I want to drive around in a car like this every day. And the best part is, this is like, you can get into one of these for, I mean, I don't want to say 10 grand because that's a little on the low side, but I don't know, like 15 to 20, you can get yourself into a decent Dodge Dart, and it will probably be the most fun you've ever had, you know? The best part is, every time you drive by something, like another car or something, or a brick wall or something, like a barrier on the left side, the side pipe just like echoes it so much louder than it actually is. Makes for a great, great driving experience. Yeah, like the torque at 3,000 RPM, like you never really have to shift down. You're just always like, and the gears are pretty short. I think Garrett said it's got a 355 rear end, so it's, it's pretty snappy. So basically, Dodge and Mopar are doing the exact same thing now with the Hellcat and the Demon as they were doing back then with this era of Dodge Dart. So Dodge actually made 80 Hemi Darts with a 7-liter V8, 425 horsepower, 490 pound-feet of torque, I believe. Yeah, the best part is it was a purpose-built drag car straight from Dodge, just like the Hellcat and the Demon. And again, a purpose-built drag car from the factory would never come from any country other than America. Really cool. Garrett's also went ahead and got rid of the open diff from the factory and put in a proper LSD. So the power delivery on, like, when you're coming out of a corner, it's really good, and you can actually do burnouts now and stuff. donuts, all the things muscle cars were actually made for, you know? Thanks for coming out, you guys. If you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit me up on Instagram at Roads Untraveled. And yeah, look forward to many more videos in the future. We got old cars like this. We got brand new vehicles coming. And yeah, just, you know, a lot of variety on the channel. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. We'll see you next time.